Officer Kareem Garibaldi was no stranger to long hours. As a dedicated member of the Lakeland Police Department in Florida, he had endured his fair share of exhaustion, working 12-hour shifts back to back. It was during one of these grueling shifts, on the third consecutive day without proper sleep, that he found her, a small, shivering pit bull boxer mix, wandering the streets alone. The pup had no collar, no tags, and her big, pleading eyes were filled with fear. Officer Garibaldi couldn't leave her there. With a gentle touch, he scooped her up and took her back to the station, hoping to find some trace of her owners. But the search yielded nothing. The puppy was alone, just like so many others he had seen in his years on the force. But this time was different. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had to do something more. By the time morning came, Kareem had been awake for nearly 36 hours. His body ached for rest, his eyelids heavy, but there was no way he could sleep until he knew the puppy would be okay. He contacted the local SPCA, hoping they could help. When they arrived, the shelter's safety manager, Connie Johnson, found them, a sight that she would never forget. There in the waiting room, Kareem sat slumped in a chair, his head tilted back against the wall. Curled up in his lap, the little puppy slept soundly, her small body rising and falling with each breath. Connie's heart swelled as she watched them. Here was a man who had every reason to go home, to get the sleep he desperately needed. Yet he stayed, driven by a deep sense of responsibility and care. It wasn't just his duty as a police officer, it was his compassion as a human being. Kareem stirred, waking momentarily to check on the puppy. He gently stroked her fur, making sure she was okay before he let himself drift back to sleep. The vet eventually examined the pup, finding that she was mostly healthy, aside from some mites that could easily be treated. But there was still the question of what would happen to her next. Without an owner to claim her, she needed a new home. As Kareem prepared to take her back to the station, one of the dispatchers caught sight of the puppy. It was love at first sight. The dispatcher, who had always wanted a dog, decided on the spot to adopt her. They named her Hope, a fitting name for a pup who had been given a second chance at life. If you liked the video, put a like and subscribe to the channel, where you will find a lot of interesting things.